Well, what's going on, fellow zombies? Are we alive yet? Are we awake yet? It's only 3:20 in the afternoon of a Saturday on May 3rd, 2025. Me, the Weaver of John C. of Roseman, California, that particular backwater armpit of the Antelope Valley, California. And yes. Uh, just getting some computer work done. Anyway, going through the independents on social media just to see what they've got freaking out just yet. A couple of days ago in Southern California, Irvine particularly, a search warrant was being sent, or actually being delivered, to a person who was posting, or theoretically charged, or accused of, posting inflammatory material about ICE agents and their addresses. ICE didn't take too kindly to that one. They basically went out and went nuts over this one. ICE has this issue concerning about the freedom of information, not to mention the First Amendment, especially if it happens to hamper their operations any way, shape, or form. And that of the federal government trying to do their job of charging and arresting somebody who theoretically did a heinous crime, but would have been considered a misdemeanor, I think, not a major felony. Try this one. In the independents, I'm verifying through here, and also through the corporate media that we actually had local media also. We had about 17 units of federal employees, federal law enforcement of various agencies, came in armored vehicles into a quiet street of Irvine just to serve a search warrant. They were still blowing away a lot of people, but didn't make the national ripple effect. But for one person out there who's doing it, and I hadn't seen any other kind of response coming from anybody else, but it is disturbing nevertheless. How would you like to have nearly 20 units, I said nearly, armored Bearcat units? You remember watching the show SWAT, the old 70s? Box Square? Well, this is not the one that they use these days. They'll use sedans, pickup trucks, but they also use armored Bearcats. We've all seen them over the past couple of decades. We've all seen that thing coming out. We've seen other versions of this monster with battering rams. I know City of Los Angeles and the County of Los Angeles had seen these things as houses were rammed into with this long-ass metal tube and a flat end on it just to break into people's homes to do a search warrant. Of course, they were sued like crazy, and they stopped doing that armored thing. I mean, they kept their trucks, but they took off the battering ram. Normally, for serving a search warrant to a person, isn't it just easier just to put 2 or 4 law enforcement agencies, not 20 or 17 trucks of federal agencies? Local law enforcement could have done it. But here's the thing. In California and in different places, they've already passed laws of having local law enforcement preventing or assisting any of the federal authorities if they're going to be doing any searches, which means local law enforcement said we can't do it because of state law, and we have to follow that, despite the fact that the federal government is leaning on and said, I'm going to need your help. I can't do it because the state law is telling me not to. So the federal law enforcement have to get their own supplies in their own vehicles to do their own raids, I guess. I didn't see any big trucks. They were showing drone footage. All I've seen is a lot of Bearcats, but I didn't see any vehicles that would actually house the guy. But probably one of the Bearcats probably would have. But for one guy, the family was home, but not the suspect. And they went through the place. And they took a router that was supposed to have all the computer information concerning about this guy. But he wasn't there. Not for a while. You know, a little recon would have helped. A little recon would have helped trying to find this guy if he was so damn dangerous. Guy's living in his state. And he's seeking legal help on this one here. I wish him luck. Because right now the federal government is saying that they are willing for a misdemeanor to send out an army for an arrest. Show force, show strength. Show the people that they're in charge. So yes, I agree with the sources of having a bit of a conniption fit and a freak out at this point, because if I happen to saw that coming down the street. And then again, my tapes are not revealing any public information concerning about law enforcement, of federal or private or anything else. I'm not revealing their addresses, even though it could have been done if I actually had access to that information. But the question is, the morality choice is it worth it? But if they're declaring a sense of war here, I guess everything else is on the table. And nothing's off the table. So coming in with heavy-duty equipment, semi-automatic combat rifles, tactical gear, body vestment, and ready for a shootout when you're dealing with two elderly people. These days, they don't know what to expect. I understand the need for local law enforcement to wear the body armor. I agree with it. I agree with it. And legally, they can't help in the state of California. As much as some of them would want to, it would jeopardize their job, and other legal things would happen. But we're talking about the First Amendment rights. Government coming in to arrest you because you protested them. It is not clear if the subject matter is truly guilty of this or not. It would be taking a court to deal with it. But then again, the federal government doesn't want to deal with the courts. They don't want to go through the trial because it's too damn lengthy. They'd rather arrest a guy for some kind of weird-ass remark on the thing and then just get him out of the country. That's what they're doing. And it takes the Supreme Court or the other federal district courts to put a slow or a stop to it. I don't think the President of the United States is understanding what the hell he's doing. I keep thinking he's just great. He's shrewd, but he's not shrewd. I think it's the people behind him. After some of the evidence and some of the opinions, and I had to really look back and analyze this guy. I don't think he's that hardcore enough to do a lot of things. I think the people he kept picking are the ones doing it all, even without his back, even without him knowing about it. Unless it comes up to him and bites him in the ass. And if it's going to be a national thing. Are people actually going to be protesting this in the streets the next time around? Are they going to be saying that they're getting sick and tired of ICE raids? Because they've already been saying it for months. It's already been happening in different places, left and right. Smaller contingencies, larger contingencies. It's been ongoing since Trump got in office. And the DOJ and the FBI and the other law enforcement agencies, they had their staff replaced, command staff replaced, directors replaced. And out of the Trumplican party, or the ones being run by other than Trump himself. I don't think he's that capable of being this much of a pain in the ass. I think he's still dumber than the dog shit anyway. He still wants his ego fed. He still wants his army marching down Pennsylvania Avenue with him in it and him feeling like, yeah, this is my birthday. He's feeding his massive ego on taxpayer money for this shit. Supposedly he's rich, but he can't afford shit. Well, I'm sending this one with a little bit of a caveat. See, I found something I heard about a couple of years ago on this one, and I knew this was coming out there. On the web, City of Los Angeles had an issue concerning about their undercovers and detectives. Not to mention some of the police officers out there. Their information being posted on net. It's out there in social media. And there was a hoopla on this damn thing. There was entrapment accusations happening and back and forth on this one. So people were sued on this one. And the lawsuit was won not by law enforcement or anybody else but by the people. It was ruled that it was First Amendment rights. They are public servants. Their information is public. And some of that information LAPD didn't want revealed out there for the safety of their officers. I get that. But they are public information. They're public officers. So yeah, they're going to have to be extra careful because they chose what they were doing. They want to serve and protect the states. They're going to be having detractors out there who want to give them a little bit more issues at this point. And some people thought they were turning militaristic. There had been times that LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, had been a bit militaristic for decades. And there had to be change of commands. There had to be changes of styles. I'd seen a lot of it. I'm 59. I'm coming up on 60 next year, actually. And I'm seeing this happen. So how am I not supposed to understand this? I understand the safety and necessity of having the officers not being on the target. But unfortunately, they're the target. Trying to do a safety job. But in this situation, this is overkill for serving a warrant on one guy by having 17 armed vehicles with a hell of a lot of firepower coming down the streets. And they don't even do their homework seeing whether or not the guy is home or not. But I know the independents are going to be saying, you're missing the point. I said, no, I already know what the point was. They did this thing a long time ago. The authoritative regime theory and practicality. And the thing at work. See, LAPD and LA Sheriff did the same shit. And they had to be calmed down, but this was the local matter. We're talking about the national shit here. Of people who just don't care except how to flaunt their own authority and laugh at people. And if you happen to see an army of armored trucks coming down the street, yeah, pray that you're not going to be one of them being picked up by those assholes. Because I don't trust them now either. It's not the military I would fear now. the militarized version of our law enforcement agencies for the federal. And since the state of California has not lifted that law, they are bound by state law in California of not helping the federal law enforcement officers. And in different circumstances, if we actually had a different president, maybe that would have been different. But now, no way in hell. No way in hell. And they already had this thing implemented before Trump got in office. They were afraid we were going to get him in office. And they weren't going to help the federal government any way, shape, or form on that one. Which puts us in a bad light because we're also a sanctuary state and cities out here. So naturally, we're going to have more resources of the federal government going through our streets, going through our homes, and trying to see if you're legal or not. And at the point of this conversation, which is still about 3:37 in the afternoon on a Saturday of the 3rd of May, 2025, I haven't got the real idea yet. I need to get paperwork situated for it, the new paperwork that's been updated. Because I've got old stuff that's falling apart on me that's supposed to tell me that I'm me. If anybody's keeping track of this shit. And that being said,